Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be showing you guys how you can complete the 200,000 score Nightfall on week 1 of Solstice of Heroes. Now if you get to the point where you have your legendary set and you're going to Masterwork it, now for the helmet you actually have to do a 200,000 score Nightfall. So in week 1 of Solstice I'm going to be showing you guys the Arms Dealer Strike, which is the one we did, and going over the burns, the weapons, the loadouts, and the modifiers that we used. So if you guys enjoy this video, do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, and let's get into it. Alright, now first up, the modifiers that we chose to use, we went with Arc Burn, Match Game, Blackout, and Momentum. Now, of course, you can definitely get a higher multiplier, but we went to try to go for about a 5.2 or a 5.0 multiplier is plenty. Now, we did have a 210 handicap, and if everyone's at 750, including that helmet you need to have equipped for masterworking the armor set, that's going to put everyone right at 540, which is what the base level for the Nightfall is. Now, you can actually probably lower this to about 175 power level, but you can also change some of your modifiers a little bit higher if you really want to, increase your points per kill, per orb, so on and so forth. If you want the optimal, the most multiplier you can get, you could run a burn with Extinguish, Match Game, as well as Blackout. Now, once we had the modifier set up, I want to talk about the strike itself and the weapon loadouts that we chose to go with. Now, for Arms Dealer Strike, that's the strike that I would suggest doing if you're doing it on week 1. The Arms Dealer Strike is pretty easy, and there's not a whole lot of Arc Burn, so we went with the Arc Burn. Now, of course, we're going to be running match games, so you want to make sure you have weapons that are going to be able to be spread out across all of your teammates when it comes to popping shields. There's going to be mostly solar shields. There's going to be occasionally some void and occasionally some arc, but for the most part, solar shields. So anything, if you have basically a heavy weapon such as Wardcliff Anarchy, Thunderlord, 21% Delirium, basically I would say if you have arc subclasses for the most part, avoid secondary, and then have at least one person running like a solar weapon and a solar subclass. I think you should be pretty much good to go. Now, pretty much you just want to be using what is comfortable for you, but again, Arms Dealer is the strike that I would go for when you're trying to get this 200,000 score for week 1. Now, when you first load into the area, the first shield you're going to come across is going to be Void. So I would strongly suggest using something like Recluse, maybe a Valakadin that you have, anything with Void to pop their shields. Main thing is you're going to want to be safe, and you can tell in this run that we weren't really being that safe. We're actually being kind of reckless. We actually almost wiped, I think it was 1 or 2 times in this run, but we were still able to finish with relative ease. So, Void Shields in the first room. Once you open up the hangar doors, you're going to go out into the Arc Charge, or the Solar Charge, area, and this fight is definitely going to be a little bit more difficult if you're running shotguns and SMGs and up-close weapons. Really good loadout you could run would be a Scowl or a Pulse in this area. There are going to be some Arc Shields, but for the most part, if you can pick people off from a distance, it's definitely going to help you out. Again, you just want to play it really safe, and if you're having trouble with the handicap being too high, like I said, we put it at 210. You can definitely lower it to, I think, probably about 170, 180, and you'd still be alright, but you want to make sure that everyone's kind of at max of 750 if you're trying to do it that way. Again, make sure you're popping all the shields with Match Game. It definitely makes it where you have to call out, where people are at, what shields you need, what burn you need to pop their shields, and you want to try to go for the shield guys first if you can, just because it's going to make things a little bit easier for everyone else.
last tank didn't finish refueling.
Or got airlifted out.
Amanda told me Cabal fuel makes a pretty good accelerant.
I think this is probably going to be one of the areas people might struggle with a bit. As you can see, I did die a few times, as well as some of the other teammates did die. So as long as you're being careful, definitely would suggest having a pulse or a scout to try to take some of these enemies out at a longer range than shotgun range. Now, once you pick up the solar charge and you're heading across this bridge, this is where you're going to get a lot of enemies in a short amount of time. Make sure you kill the enemies as they come out of the doors at the bottom, and right here's a good place you can pop your super. Now, as you're killing enemies with the super, remember this is Solstice, so you do have your elemental burn. So for this week, on this specific day, it was Arc, so it happened to work out really well with the Arc Staff. Now, once you kill all the enemies, make sure you're helping each other out, but also remember, you do have momentum on if you chose these modifiers, so as long as you keep sprinting and you don't stay still for too long, you should keep healing. Definitely want to change supers where possible and try to generate each other's orbs. Servitors are going to come out of these doorways. Once you kill them, they're going to have void shields. Now, the big boss up here, you're going to have to kill to actually open up the door. But again, supers, chaining supers is going to be your best bet. Now you can see with our high score multiplier of 5.2, we're 4 minutes in, we're already at 92,000. So this is definitely relatively easy. I tried to pick the modifiers that I think most people would be able to accomplish. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. But if you're struggling to get higher score, just make sure you actually go through and kill as many enemies as you can. You'll see in this run there's actually 2 areas, and one's coming up where we actually skipped a whole bunch of enemies. If you really wanted to, you can go through and kill every single one of them, and that's going to give you the most optimal score if that's what you're struggling to get. But this area right here where you can pull out your Sparrow, this is one of the areas we kind of skipped. You actually get to see me get destroyed here in a second, but this area has a lot of enemies you can go through and kill for optimal score, so if you want to, definitely do that. We chose not to, and we still finished with plenty high enough score. The other area we skipped is pretty much at the very end, where the boss is. We skipped about half of the ads on the end there. But if you don't want to kill all the enemies here, you don't have to. They're just big, bulky butcher dudes, the sushi men, so you know, just watch out for them. But if you don't want to, you can go ahead and skip ahead like normal, like if you're speedrunning, and then go to the next section, which is going to have the tanks.
Back into the ship we go. We're coming for you, Zahn.
Got a lot to answer for. Be thorough.
No sign of Zahn, but that elevator's the only way forward. Forward and up.
The Cabal made an elevator that goes forward? Man, they are inefficient.
So as you can see, one plus side, I guess, of running not extinguish and running the other modifiers, if the team does wipe, you don't have to reset and go back to orbit. We're about 7 minutes in now. We're at 106,000 points, and we're in the tank room. And we already wiped one time. We almost wiped another time before in that previous room, but you can see this is, I think, going to be the most optimal. Well, not really optimal, but I guess the most well-rounded strat that you guys can use when trying to get your 200,000 score for your helmet upgrade. Now, once you get to the tank room, again, remember you have Arc Burn, so use your abilities wisely. Anarchy does really well. Acreus, Wardcliff does really well. Any of those power weapons for your Arc Burn is going to be extremely helpful. Now, in this room, there's going to be a few different shielded enemies. I believe there was some solar shields, but you'll really want to watch out if you do have Arc Burn. This is going to be one of the more difficult areas. There is arc shields for the captains, but in here you want to watch out for the shanks. The sniper's shanks are going to have arc burn. Those are going to really hurt. So you want to make sure to take cover where you can, or pick them off at a distance where you can as well. Once you get up here, also it does depend. Sometimes you do have Cabal in here instead of Fallen, so just keep that in mind. If you happen to get the Cabal, it should be solar shields instead of arc. Remember, try to play your lives and revive your teammates as you go, and overall just play it safe. It's not really too difficult anything so far. Once you destroy the first tank, you hit the button, you go to the next button, and the next tank is going to drop down. It's going to be a really good time for someone to pop a super, or just to annihilate them with Thunderlord. The tank itself is not very difficult if you can kill it before it actually does too much damage. And then, of course, as you guys know, this door right here is going to have all the dogs. Alright, so with this run, we're at basically 150,000. We're just about to hit the 10-minute mark. And overall, not too shabby. Now, there is going to be a lot of ads in here, and we decided we wanted to make sure to kill everything in here. That way we can see where we stand before we actually get to the boss fight. So, servitors up top are going to have void shields. Make sure to take them out. You're also going to have all of the turrets on the top bridge area where the boss spawns initially. You're also going to have that one wanted enemy in there, and there's going to be a mixture of shields that you need to pop with match game. So as you can see there, there's going to be a void shield. There's also going to be a solar shield on some of the enemies, as well as arc. I think there's pretty much all three in this area, but just remember there's a lot of ads, so just take it slow and, you know, kill them as you go. Again, take advantage of whatever the burn is for the day for Solstice. That's going to be really helpful. Today was arc again, which means we're going to have increased melee damage as well as speed, so that's definitely going to help out. Now, once you kill all the ads, make sure to jump up, hit the button, and of course, remember that the dropship falls right here, so don't stand underneath it like most of the time happens to me. Once you kill these last few enemies, you're going to be entering the actual boss fight, and you can see right here we're at 197,000, just under 12 minutes. So overall, not too difficult, like I said, trying to make this simple for you guys. Now, again, this is one of the areas that we basically skipped. All the ads, you can go through and kill everything if you want to. If you need the higher score to hit that 200,000 mark, by all means, go for it, but we didn't have to. Basically, our goal was to try and melt the boss instantly, but Wayne got booped into the fire pit, and then Fear died. I don't even know what killed him. But so I was the last man standing, so I was like, alright, we're going to have to wait a second, get some reses. Which is fine, because then we could kill more ads and then make sure to just secure that 200,000 score. But that's going to be it for this strike. Again, I would strongly suggest running Arc Burn on Arms Dealer Strike with the modifiers I listed, which again were Match Game, Blackout, along with Momentum. Decrease your handicap to 210, probably about 170 to 210 is the range I would use. Depending on your skill level. of what you can handle. But that's assuming everyone's at 750. Overall, not too shabby, not too hard either, and I'll definitely be looking forward to giving you guys a guide next week, depending on what the Nightfalls are. So if this guide helps you at all, do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.
About Zahn, the Red Legion will be back to throwing rocks before too long. Great work.
You ever been hit with a rock? Don't joke about that.